how much he wanted for it. The old man smiled at me, told me that I could have it for free. That it used to belong to a kid who was about my age that don't live here anymore. There's something weird about how the man phrased that, but I didn't really pay any attention to that. I was too caught up in not only finding this game, but getting it for free. Reminded myself to be a bit skeptical, since this looked like a pretty shabby cartridge, and there's no guarantee it would work. But the optimist side of me interjected that maybe in some kind of data version or pirated version of the game, that was all I needed to get back to Cloud 9. The man smiled at me, wished me well, saying, "Goodbye then." At least that's what it sounded like to me. All the way in the car ride home, it had nagged at me about what the man had said. Something else. My fears were confirmed when I booted up the game. To my surprise, it worked just fine. And then there was a file named simply Ben. "Goodbye, Ben." He was saying, "Goodbye, Ben." I felt bad for the man. Obviously, a grandparent, obviously gone senile, and I, for some reason or another, reminded of his grandson Ben. Out of curiosity, I looked at the save file, eyeballing it. I could tell that he was pretty far in the game. He had almost all the masks, 3 out of 4 remaining of the bosses. I noticed that he used an owl statue to save his game. He was on day 3, and by a stone tower temple, which hardly an hour left before the moon would crash. I remember thinking that it was a shame that he had came so close to beating the game, and he never got to finish it. I made a new file, named it Link, out of tradition, and started the game, ready to relive my childhood. For such a shabby-looking game cartridge, I was impressed at how smoothly it ran. Literally, just like a retailed copy of the game, saved for a few minor hiccups here and there, like texture being where they shouldn't be, and random flashes of cut screens at odd intervals. But nothing too bad. However, the only thing that was a little unnerving was at times the NPCs would call me Link, and the other times they had called me Ben. I figured it was just a bug and a fluke in the program causing our files to mix or something. It did creep me out a bit, though after a while, and it was around after I had beaten the Woodfall Temple that I regrettably went into the save file and deleted Ben. I intended to keep the file out of respect of the game's original owner. It's not like I needed 2 files anyway, hoping that would solve the problem. It did, and didn't. Now the PCs wouldn't call me anything. Where my name should be in the dialogues was just a blank space. My file name was still called Link, though. Frustrated and with homework to do, I put the game down for a day. I started playing the game again last night, gaining the lens of truth, working my way towards completing the Snowhead Temple. Now, some of you more hardcore Majora's Mask players know about the 4th day glitch. For those who don't know, you can Google it by gist of that ride on the clock and around till it hits 0000. On the final day, you talk to the astronomer, and look through the telescope. If you time it right, the countdown disappears, and you eventually have another day to finish, whatever you were doing. Deciding to do the glitch to try and finish Snowhead Temple, I happened to get it right on the first try. Time counting at the bottom disappeared. However, when I pressed B to exit the telescope, instead of being greeted by the astronomer, I found myself in Majora's boss fighting room at the end of the game. The tippy box in the arena. Staring at the Skull Kid hovering above me, there was no sound, just him floating in air above me. In the background was the music, which was regular for the area, but still creepy. Immediately, my palms began to sweat. This is definitely not normal. Skull Kid never appeared here. I tried to move around, and no matter what I went, Skull Kid would always be facing me, looking at me, not saying anything. Nothing would happen, though, and this kept around 60 seconds. I thought the game was being buggy or something, but I was beginning to doubt that very much. I was about to reach for the reset button when the text popped up on my screen. You're not sure why, but you apparently had a revolution. I instantly recognized that text. You get that message when you get the room key from Anju at the Stock Pot Inn. But when it played here, I refused to entertain the notion that it was almost as if the game was trying to communicate with me. I started navigating the room again, testing to see if it was some sort of trigger that enabled me to interact with something here. And then I recognized how stupid I was. To even think that someone would reprogram the game like that to absorb absurd. Sure enough, 15 seconds later, a message reappeared on the screen, and again, like the first one, it already a pre-existing phrase. Go to the lair of the temple boss. Yes? No? I paused. For a second, contemplating what I should press, and how the game would react. When I realized I couldn't select no, taking a deep breath, I pressed yes. The screen faded to white with the words, Dawn of a New Day, with the subtitles, line, beneath it, where I was ported to find with the most intense sense of dread and impending fear I had never experienced. The only way I can describe the way I feel here is having the feeling of an expecting depression on a profound scale. I am normally not a depressed person, but the way I felt here was feeling that I didn't even know existed. It was such a twisting, powerful presence that seemed to wash over me. I appeared in some kind of weird Twilight Zone version of Clock Tower. I walked out of the clock tower, as you normally do when you start from day one, only to find all the inhabitants were gone. Usually, with the fourth day glitch, you still have the guards and dogs running around outside the tower. This time, they were all gone. What replaced them was ominous feeling that there was something out there in the same area as me, and that it was watching me. I had 4 hearts to my name and a hero bow, but at the point I wasn't even considering for my avatar. I thought that I personally was in some kind of danger. Perhaps the most chilling thing was the music. It was the song of healing. Starting from the game itself, but it played in reverse. God damn it. The music would get louder, building up, so as if you should expect something to pop out at you, but nothing ever did. And that constant loop began to war on your mental state.